I'm going to be honest with you all. I can't explain why Billy Napier is still the head coach of the Florida Gators, but I can try.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever in the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Tuesday, I guess. Someone's still employed that shouldn't be, so not that happy, but I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Now, many of us agree that Billy Napier should be relieved of his duties as head coach at the University of Florida. I think that, at the end of the 2023 cycle, when the recruiting class fell apart, a lot of people said, just fire him now. My take was and has been, give him until year 3. He either turns around and wins games, or he doesn't, and he's not the guy, and you fire him. And I think at this point, he's not the guy, can't get his guys consistently ready to play, all that stuff. And the Florida Gators fan base almost unanimously agrees Billy Napier should be fired. But he hasn't been yet, despite 2 embarrassing losses at home, has not been fired yet. I have to say that the main reason I think Billy Napier has not been fired yet is because for the time being, Scott Strickland makes that decision. And Scott Strickland, the athletic director at the University of Florida, if you are unaware. I don't know if you just follow football only and don't care about any of that other stuff. But Scott Strickland's the athletic director at the University of Florida. He hired Dan Mullen, hired Billy Napier, and Scott Strickland, for as little as he does know, knows something that pretty much all of us know. And that is, you don't get to hire a third head coach at the University of Florida, especially if it's within a 8-year span. You don't get to do that, at least without some proven capability there, which we don't have yet. And so for me, I look at that and I say, yeah, if someone told me, hey, buddy, if you fire this guy, you're out too, I'd have a lot of incentive to not fire that guy. And so I think that's kind of where we're at. Scott Strickland, before the Miami game, was talking, I believe it was Paul Feinbaum, and he was like, oh, we have absolute confidence that Billy Napier is going to be a head coach here for a long time. I'd say that too if I were lying for my job, so I get it. I do. Yesterday, on three's Jesse Simonton, I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm sorry if it's not. He wrote something about the ghost of Jeremy Foley, who was the athletic director before, and he retired, but he's still the AD emeritus. And he is still around, right? Some smart people might tell you that he collects a 6-figure check and lives in New Hampshire and occasionally comes down to Gainesville, and that might be true. However, I don't even need to talk about that part. The ghost of Jeremy Foley is what On 3 wrote about. And I can tell you that I spoke to a former Florida coach, not a head coach, but a former Florida coach that was on a staff where Scott Strickland was the athletic director. By the way, it's Scott Strickland, Strickland. I want to make that clear so that when people say fire Strickland, they don't write fire Strickland. I want to make sure that this goes to Scott, Scott, Strickland, Strickland. I want to make sure we get that part clear. So when you write fire Scott Strickland, you're writing about the right guy. Also, not the Georgia baseball coach, Florida AD. But I've been told from that assistant coach that I spoke to that, again, was a position coach under a coach that Scott Strickland hired. And I was told Scott Strickland doesn't matter with a lot of these things. Basically, the thought was Jeremy Foley still has a ton of sway. Nothing gets done without Jeremy Foley's approval, without his opinion. And so that's what Jesse Simonton is talking about when he goes, oh, the ghost of Jeremy Foley. That's the kind of energy that he's talking about, with things don't get done without Jeremy Foley's approval, because Jeremy Foley is still around. And I will say this as well. All of this goes to say one thing, and it really hones in on something that we've talked about quite a bit here on Locked On Gators for a couple years, even while keeping Billy Napier was an option. Even after Billy Napier's first year, I'm like, hey, these things are still not great. These things still need to change, even if you keep Billy. And it all goes to say one thing. The Florida Gators upper administration and the UAA are spineless losers, and there's no other way to put it. They're really not. Why don't they fire Scott Strickland? Self-perseverance, or self-preservation. You keep Scott, you keep your job. Why don't they push to fire Billy? Because they know Scott doesn't keep his job to hire another football coach. And so you keep Billy, you keep Scott, you keep your job. Things like that, they're cowards. No other way to put it. Actually, sorry, they're idiots too. Some of the stuff they do, horrible. They do not care about the program as much as they should. They do not care about success as much as they should. They do not care about being great as much as they should. Okay? Also, just while we're talking about this Billy Napier situation, Steve Spurrier yesterday came out, was talking about Billy Napier and keeping his job. And essentially he was like, hey, just give him time. Like, let's see what we get. Just give them time. And I know a lot of people came out, and I saw that the tweets were firing off about a couple things. One, that Steve Spurrier's lost his mind. Two, that Florida is asking Steve Spurrier to say positive things about Billy Napier or about the program to kind of calm the fan base, and trying to do damage control, which this program knows all about damage control, because they keep letting bad things get out, and then they've got to consistently get damage control. So they know all about it. They're experts there. My take on it is as simple as this. There's two things. One, Steve Spurrier is a football coach that's been fired before in his life, right? So Steve Spurrier probably doesn't take it lightly to say, let's fire this coach. Other coaches really, I'm telling you, they really don't take it lightly to call for another coach's job. It's not an easy thing to do at all. And so I think that for a lot of people, I think they look at it as, maybe we should take this approach to things. And I think it's as simple as, it's tough to call for another coach's job as a coach. That's a very tight-knit, I guess, community, in the sense where a lot of coaches know each other. It's just an awkward thing to call for another coach's job. I think that's a respect thing just for the profession, which I understand. It's one of the reasons I'm not a coach, but one of the reasons that I understand it's not easy to call for someone's job. So I get that. Two, I think his approach is that, an interim doesn't necessarily make you better right away. So let Napier run the program, let the assistants stay, and let's see if there's anything that's remotely salvageable with this coaching staff, with the support staff, with the program. Let's evaluate those and see if there's anything, again, remotely salvageable. And we'll play it by ear. But I think everybody accepts that, things are changing, right? And things need to change, not just for the future, as in long term, but for the short term future, things need to change, right? Despite all the gloom, games still need to be, like, Florida still has 9 games to play this year, okay? Minimum. it's going to be 9. But minimum, let's say they win 6 and they get a bowl, then sure 10. But it's going to be 9. I think we all know it's going to be 9. Games still need to be played. Things can still be improved this season. We'll talk about that next on Locked On Gators. Hey, Gators fans, have you heard about ROY? It stands for Return on You, and it's a new platform that lets you, the fans, get involved in NIL like never before by making contributions directly to your favorite athletes. This is to those of you that are skeptical about collectives, that are skeptical about things like that. This is to you, okay? You can directly support players. So you can directly back your favorite college athletes. With ROY, fans can play a key role in shaping the future of their favorite teams while athletes maximize their NIL potential. You know, you're a Florida Gators fan. You're not about to go pay NIL to an Alabama player, are you? Nope. But you will to Florida. And so Florida, you make a strong stance with ROY, you can contribute to an improved experience for Florida Gators fans. Download ROY for iOS or Android and enter referral code Locked On, and you'll automatically be entered into a sweepstakes to win $5,000 cash. Just visit roy.com for additional details. With no purchase necessary, by the way, void where prohibited. Get the ROY app for iOS or Android and start making an impact on your favorite team. Use referral code Locked On for an opportunity to win $5,000. Visit joinroy.com for more details. Just saying, get off the sidelines, get into the NIL game with ROY. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever it's the podcast and on YouTube. And like I said, there are some things that I genuinely think can be changed and fixed this season to improve the quality of the team. And I know that a lot of Florida Gators fans, myself included, kind of look at this year and go, okay, well, it's a rough one, right? It's going to be a rough one. It's going to be ugly. It's not going to be pretty. This coaching staff is failing the players. This coaching staff is failing the fan base. This coaching staff is failing outright, right? But that doesn't mean there aren't ways you can fix it still. Like, I think we all recognize, hey, the ceiling's here for Florida right now with Napier and his staff. But right now, your floor is down here. You can still reach your ceiling, right? I think one thing you need to do is figure out the running back room. Because we know that Montrell Johnson can be productive. We know that Montrell Johnson can be explosive, right? We've seen him do it now. But he simply hasn't been either of those things yet. Outside of that one long run against Miami, Montrell hasn't been explosive or productive. He's got 33 carries. He's got 5 yards per carry. But again, he's got 33 carries for 166 yards. And 71 of those yards came on 1 carry, which means he's got, 32 carries for 95 yards-ish. Not that great at math, but that's not good. Right? He's got that one explosive run, though, and that's what matters, right? Because you look at the yards per carry. No, that's not what we're doing. You're looking at Montrell, again, not being nearly as explosive as he used to be. And part of it is that he's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage so much that he's got to fight for every inch and every yard, right? But he's got to fight more than Trayon Webb. He's got to fight more than Jacoby Jackson has to fight. He's got to fight more than everybody has to fight. And that's what I don't fully get. Because for some reason, Montrell has not been productive. Montrell has not been explosive. And I'm not sitting here saying bench Montrell. I'm saying figure out the running back room. I'm saying figure out the run game. Is it your offensive line? It's absolutely partially, at least, your offensive line. I want to make that one clear. But figure out the combination that works for you. And here's the thing that's driving me crazy. Because I don't trust that this coaching staff is doing this. Because they seem to be very, what I'm doing is the smartest, right? That's the feel I think we all get. And if you disagree with that or agree with that, let me know. But I think the feel that we all get is that this coaching staff is very confident that their decisions are the right decisions always, which I understand standing on your decision, but I mean, sometimes you're just wrong. And hell, I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again, right? But I hope this coaching staff is doing this, even though, again, I don't think they are. But I hope they're going to the running backs. I hope they're going to the offensive line. And they're saying, hey, what do you feel most comfortable running this week? What's your favorite thing to run this week? Because I think that's really important to find with these backs. Like not every back runs inside zone the same. Not every back runs wide zone the same. Not every back runs duo the same, counter the same. Some backs are better at different things than others. Like I cover the New York Giants in person, and Eric Gray has not been great on a lot of things. But when you run counter or when you run duo, he does a pretty damn good job of it. And so some backs are just better running certain things. Some defenses are worse defending certain things. And I think that a lot of running backs recognize that, where they go, oh man, like let me run duo against these guys and I'm going to the house with it. Let me run pin pull and I'm going to the house with it. I think that there's a lot that goes into putting together a good run game. I don't think, or I would say this, I don't know if this coaching staff does this, but I have no faith that they do it. But you should be going to your backs and your offensive line and saying, hey, what do you want to run this week? And let's do it. If they haven't done that, do it. If they are doing that, implement the answers more consistently. Because I promise you, based on play calling, unless they're giving you the same answer every week, Florida's not doing that. And so get into that, right? I will say also, I need you to give the ball on fakes. Defenses no longer respect the reverse or the jet motion anymore because they don't need to. Florida doesn't hand it off as much as they should on those jet motions, on the reverses. And I know a lot of people talk about Trey Wilson only getting the ball on those jet motion. The issue is that far too often he would be used as a decoy on that, or it would be too predictable that when he was getting the ball there. The reverse also, they almost never give the ball anymore. And I don't know if their logic is, well, if we run the reverse and it doesn't work, then that's probably a loss of 4 or 5 since you've got to loop around everybody. And maybe that net loss is scary for this coaching staff, but you take a blocker away. Nobody respects that reverse. It's there. Hand it off every now and then. But nobody respects that reverse, so you're taking a blocker out of the play. If you have Trey Wilson running that reverse, he cannot help you as a blocker, and he's not going to be awesome there, but he can help you. And so I think that's one of the areas where I look at it and I say, man, you need to hand it off a little bit more in those reverses. They don't trust it. And also one other thing that I will say will improve your offense, and I harp on this all the time because I really think it would help this offense, is putting Hayden in pass pro. There's no reason that he shouldn't be out there more consistently in pass protection than we've seen this year. Like Texas A&M, he did it 6 times. That's all right. I'm okay with that. But the first 2 games, he barely did it. And the first 2 games, hear me out, pass blocking was worse than it was in the Texas A&M game. Texas A&M game, it wasn't great, but it was better than it was in the first 2 games. The difference, Hayden was in pass pro more. Crazy how that works. Crazy how when someone's good at something and you do it, it makes you better. Huh. Florida should try that more often. I feel like that might be a good approach, right? They should try it more often. We are going to flip to the defensive side because there's plenty of areas they can improve there, but I think there's 2 that really would help them improve. We'll talk about that next on Locked On Gators. You've heard me talk incessantly about FanDuel, and it's America's #1 sportsbook. There's a reason I talk about it incessantly. Today, we've got something a little bit different for you. Now through September 22nd, this Sunday, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel any time. Just visit FanDuel.com, download America's #1 sportsbook. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free breakfast in the podcast and on YouTube. And now we need to talk about the defense that has been atrocious every single year Billy Napier has been here. I think it's safe to say has gotten worse every single year that Billy Napier has been here. And I think this year it looks schematically worse than we've ever seen, which is mind-boggling to me, considering that you brought in Ron Roberts this year, who clearly, first off, the off-the-field rumors, yikes. We'll say that, yikes. Secondly, he's clearly lost his touch. I don't think there's another way to put it. He's clearly lost his touch as a play caller because they look horrendous right now in basically every possible way. Specifically with the pass rush. I don't know what the hell is going on with the pass rush plan, but it needs to be fixed. It needs to be simplified. They're doing too much. That's what I think. I think they're doing too much with things. I think that they're sending safeties too much, which I'm fine with. But I think they do it from the deep safety spot too much, and you should be creeped up more a little bit, maybe press to the line or something and then run in. But I think that they're just bad right now with the pass rush plan in general. It's tough to look at who's generating pressure and how they're doing it and on which plays they're doing it and looking at it and going, man, I feel like the scheme isn't creating these at all. Tyreek Sapp's getting through on just pure grit and hustle. TJ Searcy needs to be rushing the passer more. Shamar James is your second leading pass rusher in terms of pressures. That's straight from blitzing. George Gums does it with his athleticism and twitch off the edge. Caleb Banks does it fighting through. Jaden Robinson's been really effective as a blitzer. Jason Marshall's been effective as a blitzer, which he always has been. Triquez Bridges has been effective as a blitzer. I don't have too much of a problem with blitzing DBs. It's just when you blitz them from a deep safety spot, I just don't understand because you're not generating pressure there. Like you're just not generating pressure there consistently. That's factual. I think that also. I sent this message to the Locked On Gators insiders yesterday, which the link's in the description below. But I sent this message to the Locked On Gators insiders yesterday, and I have a take that I've been sitting on. It's time to let fly. I don't know if Mike Peterson's a very good edge coach. You look at the edge rushers that are at Florida. TJ Searcy has not been good this year. He needs to rush the passer more, but he has not been good this year. George Gums kind of pops, but also George Gums just got here and is one of your best edge rushers. You've had last year, Princely Umanmielen was there, but he left, and part of it was because of coaching. Antoine Powell-Ryland left and got significantly better. I'm not saying he's bad. I don't know if he's that good of a coach. I understand he's a Gator, and I absolutely love him and respect him as a Gator. But as a coach, I really don't know if he's got it. I'm not trying to come for his neck. I'm just saying I really don't know if he's got it as an edge coach. I don't think that, and I will say this as well. Part of it is scheme. At least part of it is scheme, right? Dropping TJ Searcy into coverage on 30% of his snaps. Dropping George Gums into coverage too much. Blitzing off-ball safeties isn't a thing that he does, but it does often. When they blitz that guy, they run the creeper, which drops someone into coverage. Could be an edge rusher not using them enough. So it could be partially scheme. However, this has been a defense that for 3 years now has been, if they don't blitz, they're not usually generating pressure. That's the thing that edge rushers are supposed to be doing. And so I don't know if Mike P's great at this. Honestly, again, that's not me trying to insult anybody. That's just me saying I don't know if he's been that good at it. Edge room is consistently underwhelming. And again, like I said, like Princely, Antoine Power Island, they left. I know at least part of the reason they left was because of coaching, and they both got more productive in their departures so far. Obviously, Princely's only been gone for 3 games, but they both got more productive in their departures. And I feel like when 2 edge rushers leave, and say it's partially because of coaching, and then they get better and really productive, maybe they were onto something, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like at least part of the blame goes to Mike P. And I don't think he gets enough of it because he's a Gator, which, again, I respect him and love him as a Gator. But when it comes time to just putting out the product, I feel like he's got to be part of the problem, right? Because the edge room has been underwhelming consistently. Consistently underwhelming. I will also say this for the defense. This is not a Mike P dependent thing. I think this is either Ron Roberts or Austin Armstrong. I want to say Ron Roberts because it's a new thing that we've seen, but there is just far too much rotation going on. And I'm not a guy that has a problem usually with rotating. It's the frequency and what you're doing out there. Because, and I will say this as well, Florida has a really tough schedule this year. You don't get many gimme games, right? So I understand you want to keep guys fresh long term. If you play, I know video games are not real life, but if you play College Football 25, there's that wear and tear system. That's a real thing, right? Guys wear down a lot as the season goes on. So I understand wanting to keep guys fresh for games, wanting to keep guys fresh to play. However, they are doing too much rotating. You are losing football games. Play the best guys. Play the best guys. Help your team get a lead. And when you get a lead, then rotate. But RJ Moten played 31 snaps the other day against Texas A&M. RJ Moten played 31 snaps. And here's the thing. I don't think he played poorly against Texas A&M. But he shouldn't be on the field more than or as much as Shamar James and Grayson Pop Howard. Shamar played 37 snaps, Grayson played 34 snaps, and RJ Moten played 31. Des Watson's been having an okay year compared to what expectations were, but he played 31 snaps. Cam Jackson played 29. Mekhi Boyro is out there for 12. There's some rotations that just aren't making a ton of sense to me. LJ McCray is only playing 8 snaps. I don't understand that. I think they're doing too much here. And I don't think that they're playing the best players. I feel like they've kind of shifted to we're going to play more senior players at some point. And I think they're leaning on that a lot where you don't have to right now. But yeah, like Texas A&M game, RJ Moten had no business being out there as long as he was. Just, again, it's not even a knock on him. It's just Shamar and Pup are better, and they should be out there more consistently. I know that they're stuck on these rotations of, well, we're going to take RJ out and we're going to take Shamar and Pup out and we're going to put in RJ, and this week was Jaden Robinson mostly. We're going to put them out, and that's what we're going to roll with as a rotation. I understand. I think you're doing too much. You put way too much dip on your chip here with the pass rush plan and with your rotations, and I don't think that you're making enough rotations in the secondary at some spots. Like DJ Douglas playing 60 snaps. DJ Douglas is playing bad football this year. No other way to put it. He's got 7 missed tackles this year. No one else on the team has more than 2. Like, DJ Douglas is playing bad football. He's one of the very few portal guys where I was just openly skeptical of. Playing bad football this year. Need to correct that. I think that stuff like that just it's weird to me because I can't piece together why you're doing the rotations that you're doing. That's what's weird to me. Like against Miami, Pop Howard played 30 snaps. That was it. 30. That's not how that should go, okay? RJ Moten played 26. Jaden Robinson played 22. Derek Wingo played 17. Aaron Childs played 5. Miles Graham didn't play. Defensively, there's just, I don't feel like that should be happening. Like, Pup Howard has been pretty damn good this year. I don't know why he's not playing as much as he should be. And we've heard the reports of Pup Howard's basically begging to get back onto the field defensively. Why? He's really good. Why are we making him try to get back on the field? Just put him in more. I don't understand so much of these rotations, but I do think that you're hurting your team with all these rotations. Simply put, RJ Moten, Derek Wingo, Jaden Robinson, not as good as Shamar James and Pup Howard. And Shamar and Pup can play more snaps. Like, we've seen them do it. You just aren't doing it. And that's frustrating as hell when I see a guy that shouldn't be out there for 60 snaps playing 60 snaps. So this team needs to just get better coaching in general. And that's one of the reasons that I'm out, because I don't think it's too common that guys, once they get a Power 4 job, improve a ton. Unless they dig deep down. But even then, year 3, not usually when they do that. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. Brighter days are ahead. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators football. Hayden Hansen will join us. We're still talking about the depth chart that I want to see changes, even though we're not getting an actual depth chart. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Giants Country and NFL 33. I'll see you all next time.